Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see everyone this evening. Excuse me. The City of Peabody Zoning Board of Appeals meets remotely tonight in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, and Governor Baker's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Individuals may participate remotely in the meeting via a participation platform called Zoom. Excuse me, I don't know. Tonight's hearing will be conducted in the following manner. The secretary will read the legal notice. The chairwoman will invite the applicant or applicant's representative to present to the board. The chair may limit the length of all remarks. All parties will be given an opportunity to speak in favor or in opposition and must keep to the subject. The board may receive similar written communications to be placed on the public record. The chair will ask those who would like to speak either in favor or against to use the raise hand feature. Those calling in via telephone will be asked if they would like to speak on the matter, and if so, please use *9. Anyone with their hand raised will be called upon, unmuted, and will speak on the matter at hand. You must first state your name and address for the record. Identify if you are in favor or in opposition to the applicant's proposal. Once the applicant will then be afforded the time to answer any of the questions posed. Once all questions by abutters and board members are answered, the board will vote. The chair will ask for a roll call vote. Chair will reiterate the outcome. Applicant may log off and will receive an email with instructions on Tuesday. The chair will move on to the next agenda item and reserves the right to change the order of the agenda, which I am doing this evening. And please be prepared to speak at any time during the proceeding. Excuse me. So this evening, the only thing we're taking out of order is number 2, the continued application of Farm Ave is going to be moved to number 6. So Farm Ave is going to be heard last this evening. Right now, we will start with number 1. Application of Northeast Arms, which is a continuance. Dan, do you have that letter?
I'm not sure. Did that come in today?
Do you want me to just read it?
Okay, I've got an
This
email.
is from Attorney Kelty. Oh, that's it.
Okay, wait a minute. I think I've got it here. No.
I'll do it.
I'm not sure I have it.
This is from Attorney Kelty on Wednesday, February 17th. I'll do it.
Okay.
So we have correspondence from Attorney Kelty dated Wednesday, February 17th. Please accept this email as a request on behalf of Northeast Arms to continue their hearing to the March 15th meeting. Please forward this request to the interested parties. Thank you in advance, Attorney Jack Kelty. We need to first to accept this correspondence. Can everybody hear me?
Move to accept the correspondence from Attorney Kelty.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Move to grant the continuance until, what date did he give us, Fran?
March 15th.
Till March 15th.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? We're all set. All right, let's see. We are now going to go on to number 3.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing via Zoom, remote participation on Monday, February 22nd, 7 p.m. on the application of Julie Solovikos for a variance from the provision of the zoning ordinance 2019, as amended Section 7.2 as it applies to the premises known as 11 Batchelder Ave, Peabody, map 120, lot 150. Petitioner seeks a variance to construct an addition and requires relief to the rear yard where 35 feet is required and 26.9 feet is proposed. Property is located in R1A zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed by contacting Carla McGrath at carla.mcgrath@peabodymass.gov or 978-538-5792 in advance and prior to the public hearing. The agenda for this meeting and instructions on how to access the remote participation platform are posted on the City of Peabody website.
Okay, we're looking for her. I don't, is she here? Okay, Jeff, are you here? We can't hear you. Here?
Who are you looking
Can't
for?
hear you. Jeff Faber.
Yes, this is.
Okay, we're ready for you. Are you going to present this evening?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, Fran, you got a real bad connection.
Can't
Yeah,
hear me?
you guys are barely.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kyle, what do I do?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Jeff. We're just having technical difficulties. If you hold on for a moment. Fran, you might need to log in and log back out again. Log out and log back in again.
Is this any better? Am I any better to anybody?
Yeah, a little better now.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Am I any better?
Yes.
Yes, that sounds better.
Okay, Jeff Faber,
Yes.
well, you could present now if you'd like.
I believe that the homeowner Julie was going to present.
Whoever is going to present, we need for you to present now, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Julie Solovikos. I am the property owner of 11 Batchelder Avenue. I am looking to enclose an existing deck to make an addition and adding additional space. The total proposed size of the addition is 8 by 8, which doesn't meet the rear setback requirement. So that's the reason for the variance application.
So the deck is already there and you want to enclose it?
Correct. The existing deck is 8 by 6, and the proposed size is 8 by 8. So it's going out 2 feet into the rear of the yard.
Through the chair to the petitioner. So you're proposing to build a deck and an addition, an 8 by 8 addition?
Correct. There's an existing deck, and that existing deck is going to be enclosed and just adding an additional 2 feet. And then there's
Onto the
going to,
existing deck, okay.
yeah,
And the proposed deck will be 12 by 12, is that correct?
right, exactly.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Any other questions by the board?
No.
Okay, do we have anybody in the audience to speak in favor?
There's a lot of people with their hand raised. There's like a lot.
Okay, so we have a lot of people with your hand raised. We only want your hand raised if you want to speak for or against this particular application. So if you want to speak on the application of Julie Solovikis, keep your hand raised. If you don't, put your hand down and we'll call on you when it's time.
So Jackie Weaver.
Jackie Weaver, would you like to speak?
This is not good. She's gone.
Excuse
Kylie Hughes?
Barry, you're fucking dick, you fucking asshole. Yeah.
It's getting really loose, guys.
We've never had this situation. If this continues, the only thing I can do is stop the entire meeting and we won't hear anybody tonight. So I don't know what's going on, but it needs to stop immediately.
Time
What?
out. Fran, I think this is a hacking issue potentially. I've seen it happen before. People get the password and passcode and this can happen. I don't know what to do, but
What do we,
Okay.
all right, we're talking to PATTV right now. Just hold on 1 second. See, this is why I want to meet in person.
So
Yes, I would like to vote for the amendment.
We're taking a 10-minute recess. I'm sorry. Just shut your video
And mute yourself.
and mute yourself, and we'll 10 minutes tops. Yeah, we're going to go back to, thank you. Okay. We hopefully have taken care of that ridiculous problem. And we're going back to Julie Solovikis. We did have a couple of questions that I believe were answered. Is there anybody in the audience that wanted to speak on this? I'm not sure that there was, and I don't think there was. So that being said, it is now before the board.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Dan,
Yes.
Barry,
yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes. Your application has been approved. You'll hear from Carla tomorrow. Thank you very much. We are now on to number 4, Robert Zulli.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing via Zoom remote participation on Monday, February 22nd, 7 p.m. on the application of Robert Zulli for a variance from the provision of the zoning ordinance 2019 as amended Section 7.2, as it applies to the premises known as 1 Celia Road, Peabody, map 16, lot 68. Petitioner seeks a variance to construct a garage and requires relief to the rear yard, where 35 feet is required and 14 feet is proposed. Left side yard where 20 feet is required and 4 feet is proposed. The property is located in R1 zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed by contacting Carla McGrath at carla.mcgrath@peabodymass.gov or 978-538-5792 in advance and prior to the public hearing. The agenda for this meeting and instructions on how to access the remote participation platform are posted on the City of Peabody website.
Thank you. Oh boy. Let's see. So we have Bob Zulli, I believe, that wants to speak on this.
Yes,
Bob, whenever you're ready.
I'm here. Yes, I'm looking for a relief because of an odd.
Okay, you
shape
can
lot.
present.
Can you hear me? Ask if they can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm looking for a relief because of an odd shaped lot. The proposed garage on the left side of the house.
Through the chair, if I may. The garage, is it the going to be the same height and in line with your house?
No, it's only gonna be one level.
Okay.
Any more questions from the board? None at all, huh? Do we have anybody in the audience to speak in favor or against this application? It doesn't look it. Matter is before the board.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I need a second. Roll call vote.
Dan,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes, your application has been approved. You'll hear from Carla McGrath tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now going to hear number 5, Lifetime Fitness, and that would be Mr. Ankeles after Dan reads it into the record.
Just before Dan reads into the record, I have to recuse myself. I have a conflict.
So that means, Eddie, you're voting on this one.
Okay.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing via Zoom remote participation on Monday, February 22nd, 7 p.m. on the application of Lifetime Fitness, care of Attorney David Ankeles for a variance from the provision of zoning ordinance 2019, as amended Section 1152 as it applies to the premises known as 210 Andover Street, Peabody map 51 lot 8. Petition seeks a variance to erect 6 wall signs where 2 are allowed. Relief is also required for 75 square feet allowed where 168 square feet is proposed. Property is located in a BR zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed by contacting Carl McGrath at carl.mcgrath@peabodymass.gov or 978-538-5792 in advance and prior to the public hearing. The agenda for this meeting and instructions on how to access the remote participation platform are posted on the City of Peabody website.
Can you hear me, Fran?
Thank you. Mr. Rank? Yes, I can. You may start.
Thank you. I'm not used to this, so forgive me if I mess up on this Zoom meeting. At any rate, I represent LTF Real Estate Company, Inc., DBA Lifetime, Inc., in this application for a variance as it pertains to wall signs and directional signs on the building that is currently being constructed on the northerly side of North Shore Mall as it abuts Route 114. It is for location purposes next to or near to the Container Store. It is to the rear of the JP Morgan Chase Bank building, recently constructed on Route 114. And the purpose of the application is to allow 3 wall signs as described in the application and 3 directional wall signs as described in the application. The wall signs are 6 feet, 2 3/4 inches by 27 feet and a 1/2 inch. The wall signs are 1 foot 8 inch by 7 feet 2 11/16, and a second and third sign of 1/6 by 13/6 and 1/6 by 15 feet. These, if you take a look at our existing zoning ordinance relative to signs, I think you'll find that it is oriented toward signs on buildings which abut a major roadway and have one exposed front portion. This is a large freestanding building that has 4 exposed sides, one facing 114 to the north, one facing the Container Store and Cross Street on the westerly side, and one side facing easterly toward Route 128. The westerly side is not a side on which we expect to or request to affix a sign. I think given the size of the building, its location within the North Shore Mall, and the fact that there are various activities going on within the building itself, I admitted to state, is approximately 125 square feet of space. It's 3 stories high and is fairly large. And we believe that the signs to be placed at the top of the building on the northerly, westerly, and easterly side will serve to, number one, identify the building, and that the smaller signs serve more for directional purposes and locate activities within the building. All of these signs would help to direct traffic in the proper places and reduce any confusion as to where activities are occurring within the building. Given the size, the location, and the fact that it is within the mall, a large parking area, we believe that this is a valid request and that it will serve a public purpose. Thank you. I think that's it as far as my presentation is concerned. I'm trying to be direct and to the point, be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, that was very good. Thank you, Attorney Angeles. And yes, it is a very large building. So I do agree with you. There signage is necessary, but I'm going to leave it right now up to other questions by the board. Anybody? I'm sure you've all seen the building being erected from the bottom up.
Yes.
The pool area and the slide looks like it's something out of Disney World. I do have to apologize for the Wi-Fi connection at City Hall tonight. People are going in and out of their verbalization. At any rate, do we have any questions, comments by the board? Anybody in the audience to speak on this matter? Okay, then, the matter's before the board.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Dan,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Fran.
Yes. Okay, Attorney Angeles, you're all set. You'll hear from Carla tomorrow, okay?
Thank you. Very well done under difficult circumstances. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Give
As long as
Jack your phone back.
As long as it wasn't you, we're all set.
I just as an aside, I have a T-shirt reading, and I put my hearing aids
We
on.
don't want to
today.
know. No, we don't want to know. Goodbye. Okay. That brings us up to number 6, which is not our last one. Kenneth, Brianna, and Shirley Girardi. That would be Attorney Kelty for 1 Forbes Way. Okay.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing via Zoom, remote participation on Monday, February 22nd, 7 p.m. on the application of Kenneth Brianna and Shirley Girardi, care of Attorney John Kelty, for a variance from the provision of the zoning ordinance 2019 as amended Section 7.2, as it applies to the premises known as 1 Forbes Way, Peabody, map 26, lot 55D. Petitioner seeks a variance to subdivide the lot and requires relief on the proposed Lot A rear yard where 35 feet is required and 26 feet is proposed. Lot area where 20,000 square feet is required and 15,797 square feet is proposed. Minimum buildable lot depth where 40 feet is required and 20 feet is proposed. Lot B, side yard where 20 feet is required and 8 feet is proposed. Lot area where 20,000 square feet is required and 12,645 square feet is proposed. Minimum buildable lot depth where 40 feet is required and 0 feet is proposed. The property is located in the R1 zoning district. The application plan are available to the public and can
Where
be
am I?
by contacting Carla McGrath at carla.mcgrath@peabodymass.gov or 978-538-5792 in advance or prior to the public hearing. The agenda for this meeting and instructions on how to access the remote participation platform are posted on the City of Peabody website.
Thank you. Attorney Kelty,
Thank
wanna
you,
take over?
Madam Chairperson. My name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street here in Peabody, Massachusetts, and I appear this evening on behalf of Kenneth Brianna and Shirley Girardi, who are the owners of property at 1 Forbes Way. They have resided at 1 Forbes Way for a period of about 2 years, and they are seeking this evening. They reside on a lot which is 28,442 square feet. they have filed with the board a plan which would divide the lot into Lot A being 15,797 and Lot B being 12,645. We are requesting a total of 2 variances for Lot A, one being the area of 15,797, and the other is the maximum buildable lot depth of 20 feet. Lot B, which would be the lot, which will be the newly created lot, we're requesting 3 variances, one being area of 12,645, a rear yard of 8 feet rather than 35, and minimum or maximum lot depth is 0 feet. The new structure is proposed to be 50 by 26. It'll be ranch style. The application reflects that the desire of my clients is to build a house that would be more suited to their needs as they grow older, and they would occupy the new house, which would have fewer stairs. The lot is long, narrow. My client, Mr. Brianna, currently spends a fair amount of time cutting a lawn which extends from Gooddale Street all the way back to his house, which the plan reflects has something of a a half moon drive into the right side of his premises. And the new structure would be located toward the front of the lot. There would still be a lot of green space out on Gooddale Street, and Lot B would be 12,645, which compares very favorably to the entire neighborhood on Gooddale, Rita Road, et cetera, but is smaller than the lots that are on Forbes Way, in as much as Forbes Way was created at a time of the zoning as it is today, requiring in excess of 20,000 square feet for lots. I'm sorry, requiring a minimum of 20,000 square feet for lots. And I know that Shirley is available this evening, as well as I are here at the meeting to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, thank you. Ordinarily, the secretary would read this. I'm going to read this now. No. Nope. I'm going to speak right now, if you don't mind. So we have a letter that came in, and Dan, I don't think you don't have this one yet, so I'm going to read it. It's a letter in opposition. Dear Chairperson, I would like to provide a comment on the proposed subdivision at 1 Forbes Way. According to the legal notice, this area calls for 20,000 square foot lot sizes. This request seeks to create 2 undersized lots, which would equate to 79% and 63% respectively of the required lot size, and at that same time seeking variances for setbacks. The City Council spent much time a few years back rewriting and updating the city zoning code. If they had wanted this area to have lot sizes less than 20,000 square feet, they could have written that into the code. They did not. This appears to be a way to create a financial opportunity if the Board of Appeals agrees with the request. If the city accepts this proposal, anyone could request the ability to create non-conforming lots and use this example as a precedent. Once precedent is set, it cannot be undone. I am opposed to this request, and it is signed a neighbor in that neighborhood. Did not put the name. Excuse me. There's definitely some validation to that person's comments. I personally could not be in favor of allowing something like this. They're 2 undersized lots. The side yard, it's a large side yard, but that's exactly what it is. It is a side yard. And if in fact we were to grant something like this, to subdivide and have a very small lot where 20,000 feet are required, at least 20,000 feet. And as far as I'm concerned, people would, yes, a precedent would be set. People can just transfer garages into houses, and I could put a house in my backyard, which is not allowed. So I understand the reasons. I understand that we're buying. I don't see a hardship, and at this point in time, I cannot be in favor of that. I'd like to hear from other people from the board, and we will hear from the neighbors. Thank you.
The chair, please.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, I certainly respect your decision to read that letter into the record, but I really wish people that send correspondence to the board would sign it and put some validation to it. So I don't put a lot of credibility to a letter that's unsigned. But I will say this, being greatly involved in that zoning ordinance, all right, the letter was right on. The letter was right on, and that's why the zoning ordinance was changed the way it is. And Attorney Kelty, you're right, Good Deal Street. But when the council decided to change the zoning ordinance, that's everything they took into consideration. The land that was available to build up off of Good Deal Street, the amount of land that was available. So they decided to increase the lot size, and rightfully so. All right. So that unfortunately, you're subject to this lot size. And I'm not being a wise guy, but you know, the fact that he has a lot of grass to cut, that doesn't have a lot of credibility to me. I think the chairman hit it right on the head. It's a side yard, all right? And we can't be subdividing everything. You know, I know the purpose of the zoning. The purpose of the zoning was to prevent this type of stuff. So I can't approve of it. There might be a lot of land there, but there's just not enough. All right. And we have to live with what the intent of the zoning change was. Now, if this was an area that was in existence before they made the zoning change, fine, I would consider it. But in this case, this development was made after the zoning change. Everybody knew exactly what the rules were. Everybody knew exactly what the size of the lots had to be. And so with the new zoning change, I'm going to live to the letter of that new zoning change, and I cannot support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members wishing to speak before we go into the audience? Okay, let's see. Alan Cloutier, are you ready to speak on this one? Oh.
Raise the hand.
Oh, if you want to speak, raise your hand. Brent Wilkinson, you may speak, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Brent, go ahead.
My name is Brent Wilkinson. I'm a homeowner for 24 years at 6 Forbes Way. I appreciate your sentiments as well as that of the other board members. I think that the letter that was sent, I don't know who it was sent by, but captured many of the sentiments of me as a homeowner. I think that as we look at the neighborhood, the suggestion of even subdividing that lot at all doesn't make sense. I think it goes against the character of most of the homes in the neighborhood in terms of size of the yard, the character, and the concern I have is the adverse effect it will have on the neighborhood in terms of putting a small house in this neighborhood. And so I think as we bought the house 24 years ago, and if the house, the current homeowners bought the house 2 years ago, I think they can see and expect the character of the entire neighborhood. It's not just Forbes Way, it's Goodale, Reeder Road, and so on. So I oppose this for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? The Carroll family, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, so we also are we're abutters and we agree that we don't want this land divided more. It would be especially difficult for the people who would be living right next to the new house, who are further down the street. They may have been the ones who wrote the letter. It wouldn't be fair to them to have a new house popped into place all of a sudden. These people purchased their land just a few years ago. They know what they were getting. And it is just a side yard. It's not meant for two homes. Thank you.
Can I please have your name and address for the record?
Christine Carroll, 22 Goodale Street.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have anyone else to speak? Mark Coulier?
Yes, Scott Mark Coulier. I live at 27 Goodale Street, just echoing the sentiments of the other people. I mean, right now, the average square foot of the homes on that street is 32,890. And then they're presenting to put a ranch style house, within 8 feet of the property line, basically disregarding the depth area from 40 to 0, basically a 0 buildable area on that lot based on any dimensions. A lot that's 60 feet wide, goes all the way to the street, and it's a very narrow yard. It wouldn't sit with the character of the neighborhood, and I don't think it should be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Gary and Kim, unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we share the similar sentiments that we've heard. It is a neighborhood that's got larger lots, and it's a certain style of house that I think would be violated based on doing this. And while I understand the request, I think as being, living in this neighborhood for a number of years, that I wouldn't want to see that subdivision.
Okay, could we just have your name and full name and address for the record?
Yeah, so it's Gary and Kim Quintal, 3 Forbes Way.
Okay, great. Thank you
you.
very much.
Yes, thank you.
Anybody else? No. Oh, wait a minute. Scott?
Yes. Are you there?
Yes, name and address for the record.
My name is Scott. Last name is Chikalis. I'm actually speaking for my parents at 1 Forbes Way. And I want to agree with all the callers and Mr. Osborne with regards to everything that has been said regarding the variance, regarding the property requirements, and putting a house of that dimension in that neighborhood, in my opinion, and my parents' opinion, would detract from the neighborhood. So I also oppose.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that does it for audience participation. Mr. Kelty, anything you want to say, or do we bring this to the board?
I have nothing to add.
Okay, matters before the board?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Go ahead.
All right, motion to approve.
Barry, you second it? Okay, roll call vote. Barry, you second it? Okay, roll call vote.
No.
Okay, roll call vote.
No.
Barry, okay, roll call vote. No. Barry, okay, roll call vote.
Shirley, if you can hear me, please mute. Shirley, if you can hear me, please mute.
Julie. Julie.
All right, no.
Julie,
You're
muted.
voting. Yeah, unmute yourself.
I did.
Stephen.
No.
Did you get Barry?
Fran.
No. I'm sorry that does not pass. Your application is denied, and you will hear from Carla tomorrow.
Thank you.
And now we will hear the continued application. Thank you, Mr. Attorney Kelty. Okay, we are going to hear the continued application now of the residents at Farm Ave. Hopefully, the Wi-Fi at City Hall will cooperate because I have some things I want to say before we begin. Is that okay?
Let's just hold on 1 minute. Let's get rid of some of them.
If in fact the Wi-Fi completely goes berserk, we'll take a 5-minute little recess and Carla and I will go upstairs and maybe get a little better reception. So far, it seems like it's okay. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to discuss and explain a little bit about a 40B application and then talk about the zoning board's role in this particular Farm Ave and other 40B applications, just to clear up any confusion that the people might have listening. So the city of Peabody is currently 110 units short of its mandate of 10% of affordable housing requirements. The residents at Farm Ave, which is what's in front of us now to be built, has received the support of the city and it is endorsed by Mayor Bettencourt. The local initiative program is a program, it's a state program that encourages the creation of affordable housing. So 25% of the 116 units of Farm Ave must be subject to use restriction, affordable housing stock, and sold or rented on a fair and open basis. That means 29 of the 116 units will be affordable. Now, what does that mean? It means that the residents at Farm Ave, the building that is proposed, that's what it's called, the residences at Farm Ave. It's not subsidized housing. It's a mix of market rate and affordable housing designed to assist city residents earning at or below 80% of the area median income. For example, now here's the example. A single person household, in order to qualify to get the rent that's the affordable unit, must earn a minimum of approximately $69,000 a year. So that could be, and I'm just throwing out, you know, jobs. It could be a fireman, it could be a teacher, it could be a nurse, it could be an office manager, it could be anybody. But in order to qualify for that affordable housing price for a single person household needs to make approximately $69,000 a year. Up to 70% of the affordable units, which is about 20 of them, will be available for local preference. And that means that those people that live in the city of Peabody, grew up in the city, but can no longer afford to live here because of the expanding housing costs, they'll have access to these units so long as they meet the eligibility criteria. So it's a very good situation for the citizens of Peabody. Now, I hope that clears up a little of the confusion. Now, what role did the ZBA, or does the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Appeals, play in all of this? So let's just go through quickly, as I can, the timelines and what procedures we put in place as a zoning board to get this up and running and approved. From the time the hearing was opened on March 9th, 2020 to the present, each ZBA member had an opportunity to visit the site and review the comprehensive application given to us by the applicant with plans, specifications, a traffic study, an environmental review, and all of the materials comprising the application. Memorandum from other city boards, commissions, and departments on the application were received, reviewed, and taken into consideration by this board. The public was afforded the opportunity to comment on the application and give testimony through the hearing process by abutters and other interested parties, their representatives to this board. The public will be afforded to offer additional comments this evening. Those comments are incorporated into the record and will be considered by the board when rendering its final decision. The zoning board also fulfilled its responsibility in reviewing the applicant's developmental proposal by conducting a thorough peer review of the proposed development, paid for by the applicant and with the assistance of the city's Departments of Public Services and its director, Robert Labossiere, and its engineer, Will Politz, and with the guidance of the city's Department of Community Development under the direction of Kurt Bellavance. Consistent with the requirements of a local initiative petition, peer review was conducted through a collaborative process between and among the city's peer review contractors, city departments, and the applicant's development team, led by attorney Jason Panos and the project engineer Anthony Capichetti. While peer review is essential in informing the zoning board's decision, we are not bound to strictly adopt the resulting recommendations, but use them as a guide to craft our decision. In this case, most peer review recommendations have been accepted by both the city and the applicant, and each is prepared to conclude their application presentations tonight, after which time it is our role to conclude public participation of this hearing. So hopefully tonight, after everything is heard, we can close the public hearing. From here, the zoning board has an additional 40 days to vote and render its decision based upon the appropriate findings required by law and supported by the application and the hearing, and in doing so may call another hearing to conclude its decision. After that, we have 2 additional weeks to tender the decision to the city clerk. And then, my friends, it's done and it's over with, and we can move on to our next project. So it was a little lengthy, a little wordy, but I just felt that step by step to let everybody know what the process was and to explain a little bit about the affordable housing and what it actually means. I just wanted to get that out tonight. So without any further of my talking, we're going to turn this over to Attorney Panos for the rest of his presentation. Jason, are you here?
I'm
'Cause
here.
I don't see you. You're with, oh, okay, you're with Anthony Capichetti. Okay, you may begin.
Excellent.
Can we share the screen? Is that?
Can Carla allow us to share the screen? We're going to put up a PowerPoint.
He's doing so now.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So for the record, my name is Jason Panos, practicing law at 246 Andover Street, Peabody, Massachusetts. I represent the applicant, the residences at Farm Avenue LLC, and the property owner, Farm Avenue 2 Lots LLC trustee. The matter before this board is an application for a comprehensive permit under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40B, and supporting regulations, proposing a 116 rental apartment dwelling unit development at 27 R Farm Avenue and 0 Forest Street, which is located in the city's designated development zoning district. The application, by way of background, was filed with the city clerk on February 13th, 2020. I can't believe we've been doing this for a year. When submission compliant with the city of Peabody comprehensive permit rules and regulations was completed. The proposed development under the application, as you pointed out, Madam Chair, has the support of the city of Peabody under the local initiative petition program and is deemed consistent with local needs pursuant to the determination of project eligibility by the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development, or DHCD, through its letter of January 14, 2020. All of this background is included in my initial application packet, which was provided to this board a year ago. And by way of a little more history, the hearing on this application was opened on March 9th of last year, 2020, and continued to August 17th, 2020, largely due to delays resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. However, while there was a pause in the hearing schedule, there was not a pause in the peer review, which began in earnest around July during the summer and has been full throttle ever since. The hearing continued to September 28th, 2020, when issues related to peer review were presented, continued through to December 14th, 2020, when peer review updates were given to the board, and at which time the hearing was set for this evening, February 22nd, 2021. Peer review, as you pointed out, Madam Chair, is now complete. And for our project team introduction, it's remarkably smaller than in the initial presentation. Michael Weiss is the manager of the applicant who is here with me tonight. And Tony Capichetti, the project engineer from Hayes Engineering, is also here. You did a great job, Madam Chair, summarizing 40B. And before I go into the summary of 40B, whatever I have to add to your comments, I do want to pause to take a moment to thank Carla McGrath, who has really done an amazing job, really putting in a lot of effort, a lot of hours to make sure that this process goes efficiently. And she's really helped shuttle the process through to this date, and an amazing expression of gratitude is due her from us. And I know that your board, who is fortunate to have her as the clerk, feels the same way. So on to the 40B and development overview. As you, I think, know, General Laws 40B and its supporting regulations authorizes the issuance of a single or comprehensive local permit issued by this board on behalf of others with exemptions from generally applicable local ordinances, bylaws, and regulations. The statute was enacted to facilitate the construction of low and moderate income housing, avoid perceived long delays in developers' proposals to construct affordable housing, and allow waiver of local zoning bylaws that are not consistent with local needs. This is something you hear over and over again: consistency with local needs. It is the central determining factor in the decision that will be before you tonight and subsequent to this evening. The DHCD project eligibility letter, which I referenced earlier, establishes that, in fact, those eligibility requirements pursuant to applicable law have been satisfied, allowing us to present this application before the Zoning Board of Appeals, which has conducted its hearings, ordered peer review, accepted comments and recommendations by other city departments, boards, commissions, and offices, and has also accepted public testimony. As I indicated, the zoning board possesses the authority to act for all local boards, which includes offices, commissions, departments. You are it, and you are acting for the city essentially in crafting the decision that will be before you tonight. Consistency with local needs, as I indicated, is the central issue. And when determining consistency with local needs, supporting the need for affordable housing in the community, in the city of Peabody, the presumption weighs in favor of a proposed affordable housing development over local needs considerations when the municipality is below 10% of its subsidized housing inventory, as is the case in the city of Peabody. Currently, the city of Peabody is about at 9.3%. As you pointed out, Madam Chair, you're 110 units shy. The application, as I indicated and you touched upon, Madam Chair, is filed under the local initiative program, and making it a so-called friendly 40B, having the support and the sponsorship of the city of Peabody and Mayor Betancourt. The local initiative program is a state program encouraging the creation of affordable housing and providing technical assistance to ensure that affordable housing production is facilitated as easily and effortlessly as possible. However, the effortless part obviously is not undermined by the efforts of this board, the peer review, substantial resources, time, money, energy that has gone into the exhaustive review of the comprehensive permit application put forth and considered before you. Development overview. The project location is at 0 Forest Street and 27R Farm Avenue. Access through Farm Avenue and is located in the designated development district. 116 units of rental housing, all of which will count toward the city's SHI, all of which will count toward the 10% affordable mandate that the city is required to adhere to. Consists of 57 one-bedroom, 45 two-bedroom, and 14 three-bedroom apartments. A word about the three-bedroom apartments. We would have preferred to skip them. We know that there's at least a feeling among the community that three-bedroom apartments, the inhabitants require more municipal services by way of schools and so forth, primarily schools, but there was nothing we could do about eliminating three bedrooms. We have a 10% three-bedroom requirement of overall units. So 14 beds equals 10% of the 116 units. The proposed 29,750 square foot, 6-story building is located on that back portion of Farm Avenue, which I believe all of the members of this board had an opportunity to walk at one point or another. And I know when we opened the hearing, you were given a virtual tour of the property. Seems so long ago. There are 152 parking spaces proposed, 80 garage spaces underneath 5 stories of dwelling units, and 72 exterior spaces with a total of 6 accessible parking spaces for the facility in compliance with ADA and Mass AAB guidelines. Parking is based on approximately 1 space per 1-bedroom unit, 1.5 spaces per 2-bedroom unit, and 2 spaces per 3-bedroom unit. And the development will be serviced by municipal water and wastewater. A brief status update on where we're at, where we've been since March 9th, and particularly since our December hearing. The city, through its Department of Public Services, the Department of Planning and Community Development, and the Mayor's Office have worked tirelessly and constructively with the applicant's development team over the past several months to conclude peer review. Peer review is conducted within the requirements and parameters of applicable law set forth in 760 CMR 56.05, and all written results and reports are to be made a part of the record before the ZBA in connection with rendering its decision on the application. Peer review is conducted through peer review contractors hired by this board through DPS, who is your designated kind of peer review liaison. Horsley Witten reviewed on behalf of the city and the board environmental and stormwater issues. World Tech, and I see Rod Emery was on, peer reviewed the traffic analysis that we presented in the application. Ty and Bond peer reviewed wastewater and sewer, and Weston and Sampson peer reviewed water. All of the peer review was paid for by the applicant, all of whom exhaustively reviewed the technical aspects of the application, including all of the items that I mentioned. And it was very much a collaborative effort, and it operated, I will say, as peer review should have operated. That is, we started off on August 13th with a very large memo, and as peer review kind of flowed through the ensuing months, the issues and items were reduced down to literally a handful, and you'll hear a little bit more about that in the technical analysis tonight. As you pointed out, Madam Chair, while the ZBA may use peer review to assist it in reviewing the application, it is not confined to it in rendering its decision on the application. In other words, you can cherry pick and decide which among the options presented by us as the applicants, by your peer reviewer, seems to make sense in light of the circumstances. The applicant has addressed one way or another each outstanding peer review item, and we are ready to conclude our presentation before the board. And with that, I would like to hand it over through the chair, of course, and through the board to Anthony Capichetti, our project engineer who will do the technical presentation, and then I'll follow him and wrap up on some concluding remarks. So through the chair to Tony, please.
Thank you. Tony Capichetti with Hayes Engineering, 603 Salem Street, Wakefield, Mass. For the record. Jason did a pretty good job of the summary for me. There was an exhaustive peer review. It confirmed much of our design. You'll see that the design plans haven't changed too much from the beginning concept. A lot of refining was done. The modifications were collaborative. We dealt with several of the peer review consultants, and Will Politz has been a great guide through the process and has helped us immensely. And some of the comments that we didn't result in overall changes to the plan are subject more pre-construction conditions, inspections, submittal requirements, and we're amenable to a lot of those. And again, this is just a kind of a copy of our landscape plan, still showing very similar accessing from down on Farm Ave through our existing driveway, parking under and in front of the building, a small parking lot to the side, and a circle that the fire apparatus can navigate around and turn around and come back out of the site. Last we spoke to the board, we were dealing with Weston and Sampson with water issues. We hired our own mechanical that came up with the different needed fire flow for the building than what was estimated by Weston and Sampson. And in their defense, they didn't do a full calculation. They just said typical buildings. We provided the calculation, and they agreed that the 1,800 gallons per minute that would be required is available on site under both the existing and proposed configuration, so no change to the water system would be necessary. DPS and Weston and Sampson did bring up that a second hydrant may be required. We haven't heard anything from Peabody Fire indicating that they would like the hydrant, and a couple of brief conversations with the chief. He stated he was fine, but if they do change their mind during the building permit process, we're more than happy to add a second hydrant and have that site or location approved by DPS as requested in their comments. Stormwater by Horsley and Witten. Essentially, all the technical issues were resolved. They're looking for some updates, especially as to the operators and some signatures as to whether or not the contractors have read the construction period maintenance plan. The property owner is aware of the ongoing operations and maintenance plan. And these sort of things are more applicable to later stages, either during or prior to building permit issuance, or during or prior to certificate of occupancy. But we're amenable to providing all that information and having it being conditioned on the approval. Lastly, World Tech Engineering provided a substantive review of traffic. We provided some revised calculations. One of the main concerns was our assumptions based on the percentage of vehicles exiting our property or entering our property coming from Dearborn Road versus going to Forest Street. We performed a sensitivity analysis instead of coming up with new distributions. And we said, what if 100% of the traffic left the site and went to Dearborn Road? There was no major impacts or no changes to level of service. And then we said the same, what if they all went towards Forest Street? Again, there was no impacts to level of service. The remaining issues that come about from the World Tech review and the DPS memo from last week is the lack of sidewalks on the site driveway and property frontage and our parking ratio and configuration. We believe that pedestrian access is important. We provided walkways within the site. However, outside the development site, there's not an extensive network of sidewalks. The closest sidewalk is down very close to the intersection of Farm Ave and Dearborn Road, or I believe it's called Intercontinental Way once it gets over the highway. That's about a quarter mile away from the site, and then other sidewalks are significantly farther away. We originally proposed an $18,000 contribution to the city sidewalk fund, feeling that the need to create these sidewalks would be better served in more pedestrian-friendly areas of town. Maybe downtown needs some repairs. Discussing it with the mayor, he asked us to increase the contribution, and we're willing to do that to $25,000. This would be in lieu of encouraging pedestrian access to Farm Ave where there is no sidewalks. And we're willing to agree that this access driveway is a private driveway. There's no way that the city would take it over, and that's not our intent. So they would never be responsible to maintain or install sidewalks on the site. To add to our transportation management, transportation demand management practices, we're willing to join the North Shore Transportation Management Association. And what that is, it's a nonprofit organization that we pay $3,000 a year to be a member to. And they find our residents, or if you're an employer, they find your employer rideshare matches, carpooling, and sometimes they provide a shuttle bus to allow people to commute back and forth to to member entities, as well as public transportation hubs. They have a stated goal to reduce traffic congestion, vehicle emissions, improve air quality, and it's the 11th TMA in Massachusetts. It's part of the Mass Commute organization. And this is just from their website here, just to kind of let you know what the membership does. Provides benefits to member tenants and employees of carpool and van pool, commute planning assistance, bike programs, guaranteed ride home program, which is pretty interesting if your employer offers this, or you're a member of this carpool program. Should you have an emergency at your place of employment, or if you decide not to have a car and live at the residences and you have an emergency, they will give you a guaranteed ride back to that facility if you call them. And there are other incentive programs based off of how much you commute. They offer raffles and prizes on a regular basis. Again, just to point out, we're doing this in lieu of constructing sidewalks. Our sites here is shown in orange, and the nearest sidewalks, again, down here at the edge of 25 Farm Ave, and it heads down Farm Avenue this way. Then to the west, basically Route 1 at the gas station and Red's Tavern, there's a set of sidewalks. And then you not until past the golf course on one of the side streets, there's some sidewalks, but they don't really connect to any place. So again, we're just trying to point out that sidewalks would essentially lead to nowhere. And in waiving the sidewalk requirement, it would be consistent with other developments in Peabody. There are a number that have no on-site sidewalks, which we are proposing, and provide no connection to city sidewalks, or in one case or another have one or both. Again, just to kind of go through briefly, Huntington Woods, very large development, 233 total units, connects out to Lake Street, no sidewalks on Lake Street, no sidewalks on any of the access points. Within the site, these are several, and I'm not going to bore you going through each one frame by frame, but these pictures show, I mean, within the roadway network, there are no sidewalks by the units. This continues to go through, showing no sidewalks for that development. And there are a number of pictures. I'm more than happy to go back to them, but I'm trying to be brief for you. Ledgewood's another one. Again, 327 units, no sidewalks at the access points, no sidewalks within. Very consistent to other developments. Cedar Pond Village, no sidewalks within or at its access points. Again, Esquire Circle's another one without entrances, 102 units, having sidewalk connections. Keefe Hall, although there's a sidewalk on Washington Street, there's no sidewalk connection from the actual building out to Washington Street, 36 units. Pine Brook Estates, 37 units, no sidewalk connection out to Pine Street. Terrace Estates, the driveways, again, no access. Chateau Royale is another one that has no access on to the city sidewalk network. 14 North, this is the accesses on 114 are in Danvers, but the development's in Peabody. But again, no access on the actual driveway itself. No sidewalks until within the development, very similar to ours, 309 units. Bourbon Street, 100 units, again, no access out to the sidewalks, and it goes on. So I think that this is a pretty regularly granted waiver request from other boards, and the ZBA would be within its rights to grant our waiver request as well. The next issue is parking ratio. We provide 1.3 parking spaces per unit. We submitted this ratio to DHCD, and DHCD kind of confirmed that ratio through the issuance of they did confirm that ratio through the issue of the site approval letter. And this ratio, granted, the zoning ratio is 1.7 for the designated development district, but it's within the requirements of the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, or MAPC. has been doing an ongoing parking fit study saying that essentially we're wasting a lot of land space for parking at these ratios above 1.5 to 2. Some communities and uses are even up to 2.5. That could otherwise be balanced out. It's a lot of impervious area, as well as over parking. And what they found was they surveyed 189 facilities in Metro Boston, and they found that those with an affordable component only required 0.55 spaces per dwelling unit, and they were right around 1 space per dwelling unit in total for their analysis. Phase 3, which is ongoing, they issued a recent memo at the end of January, and Peabody is part of the Phase 3 analysis. There was one of the smaller developments did have a parking need of, I think it was 1.7 spaces. However, it was about 9 apartment units, and they were more of a townhouse style, which I would agree would require more spaces. If you average the other 4 sites, it had a demand which were larger, 30 plus units, had an average parking demand of 0.94 or 1 space per dwelling unit. And then another issue that came up through GPS is the parking space size. We have a variety of sizes on our site, standard 9 by 18 spaces, then some modified standard spaces that are 8.5 by 18, and then compact spaces that are 8 by 18. We feel that the ratio kind of balances based off of our proposed unit ratio, and we have about 30% are our compact spaces, which are a little bit larger than what the city's compact standard size is. DPS and WorldTech are recommending 10% of the spaces max be compact, and what we did was we looked at this, the designated development district when we formulated our site plan. And there is a residential overlay. We're not part of that residential overlay, but that's where we got a lot of our standards from. The compact parking, the maximum percentage of total in that residential overlay, and that's in section 6.6.8E of the zoning code, 60% maximum, and we're at 30%, so we stayed under that. The compact space was 8 by 16.6. We're 8 by 18 on our compact space, and the full-size space 9 by 18. And handicap space 12 by, I'm assuming that's supposed to be 18, but we meet those on the majority of our full-size spaces, and then we have that substandard space that's 8.5, still larger than the standard compact space. And if you included it, we still don't, as been called those compact, we still don't exceed the 60-foot or the 60% rather maximum. And then the parking aisle prescribed is a minimum of 20 feet. For two-way parking in that overlay. So that's what we provide is 20 feet inside the building, which is typically harder to maneuver. We provide the 24 feet in the full-size spaces. We'd be fine if the board wants us to remove the compact spaces and the non-standard spaces. We reduce approximately 8 spaces total on site, and the parking ratio would go down to 1.2 spaces per unit, but that's still above the 1 space per unit that MAPC had observed. And again, that's 189 locations in Metro Boston, and now they're doing another 30 or 29 or 30 in the North Shore, seeing the same results. So I'll turn it back over to Jason to conclude our presentation.
Thank you, Tony, and once again through the chair. In conclusion and more procedural presentation, under 40B, the hearing is deemed terminated when all public testimony has been received and all information requested by the board that it is entitled to receive has been submitted, sufficient as to completeness in its judgment to render a decision. For example, peer review, comments from city boards, commissions, offices, and departments, and public testimony. In conducting its hearing on this application, the board has received and accepted all such information, data, and reports, and has afforded the public an opportunity to participate at each hearing it has conducted on the application. And again, going back to peer review, we started with a very large memo from DPS and the peer reviewers on August 13th. And from then, the peer review memo got smaller and smaller and smaller. In other words, no new items were added to peer review. No new issues came up. The issues were winnowed down to literally a handful of issues that Tony talked a little bit about with regard to parking spaces and parking ratio and sidewalks. All of the other issues we worked through with DPS, with the peer review contractors, with the city, with Kurt Bellavance. By the way, Kurt can speak a little bit, I think, to the North Shore TMA, the North Shore Transportation Management Association. It's through him that I was educated on its existence, and quite happy to have found it, because I really do think it's going to play an important role in mitigating how people access the site and get to work and go about certain recreational activities. It's a really great association. We have high hopes for it. It is a new association, so we hope it works as it's intended to work. But going back to the conclusion, in making its decision, the board shall take into consideration the recommendation of local boards, including commissions, departments, the city council, and other city offices. But as I indicated, not required under law to adopt them to the letter. The board, after closing the public hearing portion of the proceedings, may schedule a subsequent hearing to discuss, with the participation of the applicant, the application, make its findings, and subject the decision on conditions consistent with local needs, which do not render the project uneconomic, and render its decision at which subsequent hearing the public may observe. I threw out that word uneconomic. I went into extensive detail as to what that means in a previous correspondence to this board from Hayes Engineering and myself, dated December 11th, I believe. And I won't go into it again for purposes of this hearing, but for your reference, it's there. The correspondence been accepted into your record. Upon closing the public hearing, the board, as you indicated, Madam Chair, has 40 days based on a simple majority vote to render its decision on the application. In other words, your typical 40A application, and you've been through this at least once before, so I'm probably repeating something you already know, and my apologies in advance for that, but regular zoning application requires 4 out of 5. This requires 3 out of 5. Based on the adopted findings and conditions supported by the record, with an additional 14 days to tender its decision to the city clerk. Upon tender of the decision to the city clerk, the 116 units proposed, if they are accepted and receive a positive decision from this board, will be eligible to be counted toward the city's SHI, at which point the city will have satisfied its 10% affordable housing mandate. So this is a critical project for the city. The city of Peabody will be 6 units over its 10% mandate. A little too close for comfort, but for the first time in a long time, you're going to be over 10% as a result of this project, which is one of the reasons I believe Mayor Betancourt identified it as a critical friendly 40B appropriate, site appropriate as DHCD, and we hope this board will concur. In preparation for concluding the matter, the applicant respectfully requests consideration of the following findings subject to final modification as the record is compiled, in which the board considers within the requirements of applicable law. These are findings that under any circumstances, and for the most part, the supporting regulations, 40B regulations, DHCD guidelines, which guide the process of these applications, must be made, and in this order, that you're reaffirming the project eligibility requirements stated in that DHCD January 14th, 2020 letter. And they're up in the PowerPoint, so I'm not going to read them verbatim. That the city of Peabody does not, in fact, as of today, have 10% of its total housing units available to low and moderate income households, according to the DHCD SHI as defined in the supporting regulation. That as proposed, the project includes one 5-story building totaling 116 dwelling units, 57 one-bedroom, 45 two-bedroom, and 14 three-bedroom units with 152 parking spaces, proposed consisting of 80 garage spaces and 72 exterior spaces, with 6 accessible spaces pursuant to ADA guidelines, and that the project will be served by municipal water and sewer. The project presented in the application with accompanying plans and specifications and reports as conditioned is consistent with local needs as required by the Act, and that the requested waivers that were in the application filing initially are required to permit the construction and operation of the proposed development. And with that, the matter is currently before you for questions and questions and comments. So thank you very much.
I'll stop the share so everyone can see each other again. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Okay. All right, that's better. Thank you for that comprehensive presentation. Barry, did you want to speak?
Yeah, just through the chair. I actually have a question.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Yes.
Can't hear you.
How come?
I can hear you, Barry.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. I guess through the chair to Kurt Bellavance. Kurt, kind of new to me that we take in lieu of the $25,000 to be used towards the city's sidewalk use. How do we preserve that money coming from a 40B negotiation so that it's used strictly for the sidewalk money? Is it something that you've ever encountered before in dealing with a 40B where they accepted money in lieu of like sidewalks or anything like that? And how do you preserve it? I mean, usually it would go to some sort of city fund. And then at the end of the year, when the city needs to balance all the accounts and, 30, 40 transfers come out, under the emergency preamble, that money could be transferred very easily from what account to the general fund. And it might not be a fair question to you, but I'm just choosing you because I think you're probably the one that can answer it the best. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Kurt Bellavance, Community Development Director for the City of Peabody. No, I mean, we've done that in the past. We've done it here in Peabody. I've done it in other communities I've worked in. Typically, we'll take that money and we'll earmark it. It'll go into, there's different accounts that it can go into that can be carried over from fiscal year if it's not spent on something specific like sidewalks. But certainly, that I have no issues, and I did discuss this with the finance director, Mike Dringus, specifically about earmarking funding for something like this, and he didn't have any issues either. So it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions from the board or right now? We have Nick Papanicolaou would like to speak. Unmute yourself, please, Nick, and name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Nick Papanicolaou. I'm at 7 Farm Avenue. I'm just running the Zoom for my father, Emmanuel Papanicolaou, in a butter at 25 Farm Avenue.
Yes. My name is Emmanuel Papanicolaou. I'm a practicing attorney for over 50 years. And I have been the recipient of many awards in the practice of law. What you I've been a resident of Farm Avenue, 25 Farm Avenue, for many years. I was, when I
Hey,
first.
sir, you need to tell us, are you for or against this?
I'm against it,
Okay.
against this project. Mr. Weiss came into Peabody as a landscaper, and I helped him.
Okay, you know what? We need to.
Fran, you're muted.
We need to really keep to the subject. I don't need too much background on other people. So you did say you were against the project. If you have any
Yes.
other reasons, other than
Yes.
that, we're gonna hold it at that, okay?
First of all, there's such tremendous amount of traffic that is using Farm Avenue today. Today, every morning, you'll see the trucks coming out of the
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
I'm not through. I'm not through.
Please keep to the subject.
Yeah, I'm sticking to the subject. The traffic is so tremendous. It really carries more traffic on Farm Avenue today than Main Street does. And in light of that, they want to put 116 units, residential units. That's going to increase the traffic coming through Farm Avenue. Furthermore, this was a habitat of coyotes that lived in the area. And I want to say this also, that the environmental director of the city of Peabody had complained about our effort in getting rid of the coyotes. So I don't think you people have considered this matter sufficiently.
Okay, you know what? You know what, Mr. Papanikolaou, I believe that you've expressed all your concerns at a prior meeting. So, and I don't think that you're adding anything new. We have everything that you said on record. So, we appreciate everything you said. We're gonna take everything
The other thing you
into
want to know.
consideration,
is
but I
there's a
think at this point,
lawsuit in
we're gonna move
progress
on.
at this time. There's a lawsuit, whether or not.
We need to mute. Okay, thank you. We're going to move on. Is there anybody else at this point in time that would like to speak for or against? Anybody that's listening, anybody that is in the audience? Anybody on the board? No questions, no comments. Is that correct?
This is Rod Emery from World Tech that did the traffic peer review.
Okay.
Just like to add a few comments. I thank Hayes for responding to our peer review comments. I think they've done a good job answering our questions. The parking issue is certainly something that's very hard to get a hold of right now because of the changes in our travel patterns. The perfect fit study that they referenced that was done around the city of Boston, it was more the Boston core area. And I'm glad to see that he mentioned the update that was done for Peabody, Salem, and Beverly. And we use the ITE references for the trip generation. There's also a companion document for parking generation. And I think tying the parking ratios better to the number of bedrooms works better, because if you tie it to a unit and you have a different mix, it can come out differently. The newest parking generation from ITE has two references for the number of bedrooms in resident, and this low rise, the same ITE category. And they reference 8/10 of a parking space for every bedroom if you're within a half mile of transit, and one per bedroom. If you use the 8/10, you're right on the same number that they supplied here, about 151 spaces. If you applied the 1.0, you'd be a little bit higher. But getting back to the perfect fit, everybody's trying to not build in extra parking that we don't need. And there were 3 or 4 things in that report that they said go along with the reduction in parking spaces. One of them was to separate the parking from the rent, so that if you weren't going to use parking spaces, that your rent was differently. And they talked about secure bicycle parking. There was a note about where the bicycle parking would be on the plans, but it didn't reference whether they were actually protected parking, bike racks, and what the detail was for that. And then, of course, a couple spaces for car sharing would go a long way. And the last item that I did put in my original report was some electric charging stations. So those are some of the issues you could consider to help with the parking situation. So I just wanted to add that about the parking ratios.
Okay, thank you.
Fran, if I could add something?
Thank you. Yes.
Sure. William Politz, City Engineer, Public Services Department, City of Peabody. Fran, one suggestion I would have that the ZBA may want to consider, and maybe the applicant would be amenable to, would be put some no parking signage along the access way to discourage overflow parking, if there is overflow parking from this development. I think naturally they're not going to want to park on Farm Avenue. It's not really conducive for overflow parking for people to try to park out there. But I do think the access drive may be someplace conducive that people will try to park, unless there's a sign dictating that it's prohibited. So that would be one recommendation that the ZBA may want to consider.
That's a good idea. Okay, thank you.
The chair.
Yes.
I think, Mr. Peltz, you hit it right in the head. If there is required overflow, wouldn't you rather have them on that access road than on Farm Ave?
Not if the applicant's not putting in a sidewalk on the access road, I think it would be, one, I think the fire department, they'd have to weigh in on it. I think they may have issue with parking on the access road for fire apparatus. And then our consideration would be, I think it would be even more problematic for pedestrians if there's parking on the access road itself.
Through the chair, if I could inform this a little more from the applicant's perspective, we are 100% totally on board with no parking on the access drive. There is no way that Captain Dowling will go with it at fire prevention. It is a 25-ish foot right of way.
22 pavement.
Or 22 pavement. It just can't accommodate parking. So we're totally on board with a condition like that. You know, we don't need to be convinced of the merits.
Okay.
We agree.
Great. Yay, we agree. Any other comments, concerns? All right then. Janet Bernardo?
Yeah, this is Janet Bernardo from the Horsley Witten Group. I just wanted to let the board know that I conducted the peer review from the stormwater point of view. So if there's any questions regarding stormwater, I'm available to answer them. But
okay,
you have a letter from us, and I don't need to repeat that for your opinions.
Thank you. Okay, so at this point in time, we need a motion to accept additional correspondence, and that correspondence is from February 17th, a memo from Will Politz, February 18th, a memo from Hayes Engineering, February 1st, another memo from Hayes Engineering, and last month, there was a letter in opposition to this from Councilor Turco, which we did not accept. So may I have a motion to accept these 4 correspondences?
Motion to accept the correspondence.
Second.
Any opposed? Great. I now need a motion the motion to accept the correspondence is approved. I now need a motion to close the public hearing on 27 Rhea Farm Ave.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Great. We now have 40 days to render a decision and file with the city clerk. I need a motion to meet on March 22nd, 2021 for a working session to discuss the decision and vote.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so once again, just so everybody realizes, Eddie Colbert is voting. He's a voting member on this. Ms. Peabody has listened and participated, but you know, on these 40B applications, you have to be present at every single one, and there were some that in the beginning was difficult for Julie. So Eddie, you've taken point on this one. Thank you. Okay, we need a, what? Oh, no problem. Okay, so we're meeting March 22nd to discuss the decision and get that all tied up and have a vote on that. Right now, we need a motion to accept the meeting minutes from December 14th.
Motion to accept those minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so we now have our next regularly scheduled meeting, March 15th. March 22nd becomes 40 Oak Street, 40B continuance, 15 King Street, 40B continuance, and all of this that we just heard this evening. Any other questions or concerns right now? I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody. And I need a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, before you adjourn.
Quickly.
Yes, I just want permission from the board to work with Carla McGrath to help compile the record as we move into drafting the decision stage.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, may I have a motion to adjourn? Nobody wants to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Fine. That's great. Hey,
Second.
look. Okay, hey, listen, you know how I feel. You know how I'm going to end this. Sooner or later, we'll be together again. I can't wait. Thank you all very, very much, and I will see you again March 15th. March 15th? Yeah, March 15th. Okay, good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.